Thank you for joining us today. My name's Nathan Garner. I'm the Technical Pre-Sales and Project Manager here at Dynamic CCTV. I'm also joined by 𝐂𝐨𝐫𝐩𝐨𝐫𝐚, who's the VMS Solutions Manager at 𝐂𝐂𝐓𝐕, and he'll be keeping an eye on the Q&A as I'm going through the slides this morning. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section, and 𝐂𝐿 will be able to pick those up as we go through. At the end of the webinar, there is a short demo, which 𝐂𝐿 will be taking over and running through a quick demo of the Optimus Solution with the Galaxy connectors and the different things that are available through the solution. So we're going to go through a bit of theory first, and then we're going to come on to the live demo at the end of the webinar as well. So the Optimus solution works in conjunction with 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral. So 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral is 𝐂𝐸𝐸𝐵Vision's centralized management system. So this can be for CCTV, access control, and using intercoms, anything like that will link up into a 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral server, which would be your central management system for your site. And we have lots and lots of customers that are now using the 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral VMS platform as their centralized management server. But there's also different projects and different systems where there is the need to be able to integrate third-party devices, and in some cases also third-party softwares, and that's where the Optimus side of things will come in. So the 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral VMS itself, it is a centralized system that manages both video and non-video applications. So the non-video would be the likes of access control, which would allow you to manage your attendance, for example, using the attendance module through 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral. And then for video, you could have standard CCTV cameras, ANPR cameras, facial recognition, all that linked into the 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral VMS platform. And it does allow you to have seamless control of all of the devices that are added to the system. So it's one management point. You're not having to go to different web pages, different web front ends of devices in order to configure them or change any of the settings or for viewing purposes in some scenarios. It does also allow to have multiple users. So with 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral, you can have multiple users that are actually logged into the system using the control clients. It can be up to 100 control clients that are connected at a time, and you can have multiple users that are actually added to the system. These can be imported in through Active Directory. So if you have a site that wants to integrate their Active Directory users into their CCTV management systems or access control systems, you can use 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral to be able to do that, and it will pull in all those users, and you can assign different permissions or different roles, should I say, to those users through 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral. And by doing that, you can then get a full audit log of everything that's actually been done on the system. So what cameras a user has viewed, whether or not they've digitally zoomed an image, if they've played back to camera or anything like that would all show in the audit log. So it makes it really easy to keep track of just exactly what's actually happening on the system and what different operators are using the system for as well. You do also have the additional features of the advanced event configuration with 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral. So you can have one event, another event, so both in effect have to be triggered before the event's triggered to an operator, for example. So you can do a lot more complicated things to meet needs on a site using the 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral than you can, for example, using the IVMS 4200 software, which is more limited in the event side of things than 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral is. 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral is kind of the best option to go for when you're looking at any events or when you're needing reporting or anything like that. Those additional functionalities all come in with the 𝐂𝐸𝐶entral VMS. Now, a lot of people always think that 𝐂𝐸𝐶entrals only need to be used on large-scale projects or large-scale systems that need that large deployment, but that's not the case with the actual software. You can start from very small size projects using the VMS. So we do have installs where customers are just using it to manage a car park, so they've got a couple of ANPR cameras running on a small workstation with the 𝐂𝐸𝐴 VMS, just so their client can benefit from the ease of use when it comes to managing your platelist through the 𝐂𝐸𝐴 VMS. But the actual software itself is scalable, so it can go from those really small installs all the way up to 10,000 channel systems with a distributed deployment server, or even up to 100,000 channel system using RSM deployment with multiple 𝐂𝐸𝐴 servers. So it does have the full scalability with 𝐂𝐸𝐴, and the way the modules are broken down as well. You can purchase only the modules that you need. You don't have to waste money purchasing modules that you don't actually need or ever going to use. So it does have that benefit of being able to split up those different modules and only purchasing the additional applications that you actually need for your site or for the client's needs of the actual system. And next, we're just going to go on to a quick introduction video for the actual Optimus software.
Hi there, let me introduce you to Hikvision's middleware solution, Optimus. Optimus is a software middleware product that connects Hikvision's video management system, HikCentral, to multiple third-party systems via connectors that bridges connection between the various systems. The connectors are committed to addressing the mapping and integration of events, alarms, as well as data synchronization into HikCentral. For example, Optimus is able to map a Hikvision camera to a specific third-party access control door. Optimus works as IFTT, also known as if this, then that. For example, if a Hikvision facial recognition camera detects a verified user, then the third-party access control door will unlock. Optimus also offers data synchronization. A quick example of this is that when a user is added or deleted or reconfigured in HikCentral or the third-party system, Optimus will sync the data automatically. As you can see, Optimus is very flexible when connecting to many different types of third-party systems. So how can we configure this? Optimus offers an easy-to-use graphical user interface to build flows between HikCentral and third-party systems. You can select specific events and build conditional statements to execute the alarms. And always keep in mind that this communication is always bidirectional between the two systems. Inside the GUI, you can also view the health status of HikCentral, Optimus, its connectors, and the third-party system. And you can also see the activity level of what's happening in each of the systems. For example, you can see when a flow is being executed or when there's downtime in a system. Optimus also offers an Sdk package that will be available to our technical partners via a third-party partnership program. This program will allow our technical partners to develop their own connectors to offer to their end users and their specific requirements with the support of Hikvision's R&D team. If you have any questions regarding Hikvision's middleware solution Optimus, please do not hesitate to contact Hikvision's Montreal Research and Development.
So that's just a quick introduction into what the actual Optimus middleware software is. We're just going to go into a bit of the theory on how it actually works and the overall architecture of the solution. And then we'll come back into a demo further down in the slides, which Young will be handling as well. So the original requirements for why the Optimus solution came about was generally in larger HikCentral projects. There's likely to be a lot of third-party systems involved, for the likes of access control or alarm systems within a building. And customers always want to be able to have a seamless kind of one-stop solution to be able to manage multiple systems on site. They don't want to have to go into different types of software or different front ends to be able to actually manage their system. It's much easier for a site to be able to just log into one front end or just have one control client to be able to receive all the alarms through and be able to view those without having to go into different screens or having to log in different types of software. So Hikvision have brought out the Optimus solution, which integrates with 𝐂𝐸𝐸. So it basically works as a middleware piece of software that sits in between 𝐂𝐸𝐸 and your third-party system, whether it be an access control system, an alarm system such as the Galaxy alarm panels, and even software in some examples as well, so it can communicate between the two. So this allows for real-time two-way event linkage between Hikvision and a third-party device or system, and it will actually retrieve the event records on 𝐂𝐸𝐸 itself. And it allows for the full management centrally through 𝐂𝐸𝐸 of all the devices and the resources that have been added. And what you can also do is use data synchronization. So for example, if you use an access control, if you create a new person on 𝐂𝐸𝐸, it'll actually sync that data to the third-party access control system. So you're not having to create the same person twice. The tool will actually synchronize the data using the Optimus middleware software. So it keeps both of them in sync, and it will actually update or create the records on either system, depending which one you set it up on. So if you set it up on the third-party system, the data would synchronize to 𝐂𝐸𝐸, and that person would be added and created on 𝐂𝐸𝐸 as well. So you don't need to log into either system and create them on both. You only have to do it on one of the systems for that as well. So we've got our 𝐂𝐸𝐸 control client at the top right, our 𝐂𝐸𝐸 server, and also a third-party server or software, which is then linked up using the Optimus solution, and that can then link with the Hikvision devices that are added to the system, as well as third-party access control or third-party intruder panels, which would be the likes of Galaxy alarm panels, which there is currently a connector available for the system. The system will actually use different connectors depending on what third-party device you need to integrate into 𝐂𝐸𝐸 through Optimus. So Optimus itself is a system-level middleware product, which is committed to addressing the mapping and integration of the events and alarms between the two separate systems, and this will also sync the data between 𝐂𝐸𝐸 and different systems that you want to connect to the system. And Hikvision are actively working on creating more and more of these different connectors that you can actually use in the actual system itself, and they're pushing that forward now. And if there's any ongoing projects or something that you need us to look at, please get in touch and we can look at that with Hikvision to have those connectors developed depending on the actual requirements of the site itself. So this is a basic overview of how the systems interact using the Optimus software. So you'd have System A and System C. So one of them would be your 𝐂𝐸𝐸 system. So if we say 𝐂𝐸𝐸 is System A, and then System C is a third-party system. You then have a connector which sits in between the third-party system and the Optimus core, which will actually manage the different workflows, the status monitoring, and actually control the triggers. Once System C triggers an event, it runs through the connector into the Optimus core, and then out on the other side into another connector, which would then connect it into 𝐂𝐸𝐸 for the actual system. And this allows you to map the different objects, events and alarms from system to system, using Optimus as the middleman of the system that converts between the two systems and keeps all of the data in sync between System A and System C for the actual system itself. So what is a connector? So this is what is used between Optimus and either the third-party system or 𝐂𝐸𝐸 in order to bridge between the systems themselves. So you can see there we've got the triggers, the responses, and the data the actual connector holds. So the triggers could be basic door info, door unlock, an alarm triggering, even a manual alarm trigger. So if you clicked a button on a software, that would be a trigger that the connector is looking for. It then needs to know what response it needs to give when that trigger's been triggered. So it could be call a different API, call an API into the system. And then there's the data that's actually held. So this could be card information, person information, door information, anything like that would be stored within that as well for that. So Optimus itself has quite a simplified and easy to use user interface. So you generate in workflows when you're actually setting up the connectors between the systems. So you can have your 𝐂𝐸𝐸 connector or your Galaxy connector, for example, and you actually draw in your workflows, setting what trigger wants to trigger another event, or how you want the systems to link. So it has a graphical interface in order to be able to set up the workflows and to actually schedule the executions through Optimus. So it makes it a lot easier when it comes to the configuration side of things in order to be able to actually set up the Optimus side of things for the connector itself. So this is using, with Optimus, it needs to be version 1.7 𝐂𝐸𝐸 baseline and above in order to be able to use the Optimus integration with the VMS platform on the system itself. And Optimus now is version 1.1.1 and above, which is the baseline release versions of the Optimus middleware software for the system. So now we're going to take a quick look through the Galaxy connector and the different feature sets and what you can use and what you can do using the Galaxy connector on Optimus with the 𝐂𝐸𝐸 platform as the centralized management system for the site. And I can see there's a question that's come in from Jonathan asking what is the connection between the Honeywell Galaxy and HIC. Is there a unit required on the Galaxy? So for the Galaxy panels, you do need the network connector for the actual panel itself in order for the unit to go on the network, because it would all be done via network transmission for the Galaxy unit. So we'll run through some of the feature sets of the Galaxy connectors now. So within 𝐂𝐸𝐸, you have your alarm center within the control client software. So you can actually receive all the real-time events from the Galaxy zone and the panel itself. So whether it not be the power's been lost to the panel, Optimus would pick that up because the connection would have dropped. Whether a zone detector's been triggered on the alarm system, it'll actually trigger through to the 𝐂𝐸𝐸 alarm center on the control clients for operators. And you can actually relate that to a camera as well. So if an alarm or an event's triggered, it'll actually relate to one of the CCTV cameras using Optimus through 𝐂𝐸𝐸 through there. It also allows you to search through the different Galaxy alarms and event records using the control client of 𝐂𝐸𝐸, which will allow you to search back and see any events or alarms that have actually been triggered by the Galaxy panel without actually having to go into the Galaxy system. You can do this straight from 𝐂𝐸𝐸 once it's been integrated using the Optimus software for the system. You can also synchronize the Galaxy zones and the outputs to the logical view of 𝐂𝐸𝐸. So you can actually place on the maps, which you can use through 𝐂𝐸𝐸, the alarm icons and the different zones that you have set up on Galaxy. You can relate those to your maps on 𝐂𝐸𝐸 itself. So this will be easier when you look in an operator's point of view. If they have the map open on one of their screens, they can see when an alarm's triggered and they can see exactly on the map where that's triggered. And if they have any cameras in that vicinity, they could click on those cameras, or they could direct security guards to that area where the actual alarm or the event has been triggered on the Galaxy panel, which will make it a lot easier when you're using the maps, because they'll actually be able to see exactly where that alarm is set up and they can then direct the security guards to that area on the system itself. You can also control the output status through the actual map on 𝐂𝐸 Central. So if you have the alarm outputs related and added to the maps on 𝐂𝐸 Central, you can actually click on the alarm itself on the map and set that to trigger. And you can also see the statuses of the actual alarms on the map as well without having to go into different screens through there as well. So the Galaxy triggers can actually trigger different 𝐂𝐸 Central triggers. So if, for example, you had a detector or a zone that was triggered, you can set a PEZ preset. So the PEZs that are added to the system and related can actually trigger to go through to a specific preset position that you have configured when it's been added to the system. And you can also even have the event triggers triggering recording on the system using the 𝐂𝐸 Central as well. And you can also do the same for face capture events, face event triggers, and also the output relays through the system monitored events on 𝐂𝐸 Central as well, using this solution. And one of the most powerful features of 𝐂𝐸 Central is the health monitoring through the actual system. So this is a one display screen, which will actually give you a full overview of your entire system using 𝐂𝐸 Central. So it will tell you the status of all the cameras, the doors, anything like that that's actually added in 𝐂𝐸 Central. It'll actually give that information from the Galaxy panel. It'll actually show the status of all of that in the health monitoring screen of the control clients. This makes it really easy for control rooms to see if there's any faults or if there's anything going wrong with any of the systems once they're running through 𝐂𝐸 Central, so they're not having to go into each device itself and check to make sure all the sensors are working. If anything has dropped offline, they'll be able to go into the health monitoring dashboard of 𝐂𝐸 Central and be able to see the status of everything. And you can then drill further down to see the different details of the zones and the output statuses of the device itself. So at the moment, there's the Honeywell Galaxy connector that's released. There are quite a few others that Hikvision do have ready to be launched and that have been specifically made for different projects, but they are currently available for project use as long as you make that request, and we can look into those for you, and a few of those are on screen there that can be used. If there is something else that you do need to integrate, such as an access control system, a different alarm panel that is not currently integrated, more connectors can be developed. So please make sure you contact us and we can look into these different solutions for you as well. For those. So with the Optimus itself, there has been a developer API interface that's been released for third-party systems. So third parties can actually create their own APIs and SDK to integrate their systems into Optimus. It doesn't need to be Hikvision that actually does the integration itself. Third parties can register for the development section through Hikvision and be able to integrate their systems in 𝐂𝐸 Central and create their own connectors that can then be used with the actual system itself. So that was just a quick run through for the theory of the Optimus solution with 𝐂𝐸 Central. I'm just about to hand over to Young from Hikvision, who's kindly agreed to do the live demo of the Optimus solution, just take you through a couple of the different bits, and then it'll come back on to me just to finish things off. So I'll hand over to Young now.
Okay, thanks, Nathan. So let's have a brief demo of the Optimus Galaxy integration. So as Nathan introduced, Galaxy can be integrated via Optimus with 𝐂𝐸 Central. So first of all, let's take a quick look at the Hikvision Optimus. So how the Galaxy and the Hike Central can be connected or integrated. So here, as you can see, on the web portal of Optimus, right, we have added the Galaxy connector and the Hike Central connector. So that's why these two systems can be integrated via the Optimus. And let me show you some things, some important things about the integration. So first of all, connectors, right? So we are talking about integration between Hike Central and the Galaxy. That's why we have these two connectors. But of course, you can have some other connectors like Paxton or NEDAP. Some other connectors, we can also add a new connector, so they can all be connected or integrated with Hike Central connector. And here you can see the status of each connector. That is the first step, a very, very important step for integration of different connectors. And then, right, we have data synchronization. For Galaxy, because it is the alarm panel, right? So it doesn't include the person or credentials like card, PIN, or username. So it is quite simple. Well, if you are using, for example, Paxton or some other access control system, they may also include some person information and a card, a PIN code, some of even profiles. So that those informations can be also synchronized to Hack Central. If you are using that third-party system, right? But here, as you can see, it is a Galaxy. So we are mainly like synchronizing the output zones information to Hack Central for integration. So this is quite simple for Galaxy, right? And as for the alarm, right? So we can create different alarms. For example, this is the one of the alarm I configured. Let me show you, edit it, and alarm name. So here you can see the Galaxy connector. The alarm name is burglary 24-hour zone alarm. This is one of the alarm, right? So then you can create, this is the trigger, right? When burglar alarm is triggered, how is response on the Hack Central? And the response is, actually click it. Right, Hack Central will be a response, and the response action will be, you can select like trigger the alarm and also relate the camera, or no relate camera, just pop up alarm, right? So you can define it, and then you can select the action of which camera can be triggered or which zone from the Galaxy burglary 24-hour alarm is triggered. Right? So that is the kind of source from the trigger and the action source of the response. So you can define it, select which camera. This is one of the camera I select. So that's why this camera will be triggered like recording because of or related because I selected here. Of course, you can have some other entities or entities like more than one alarm zones or more than one like cameras. You can select for different actions. Here we just use one as an example. And that is the kind of configuration on Optimus. It's quite simple. And then after the configuration, so first of all, you will see the Galaxy resource, for example, alarm output or zones. Right? So you can see it in Hack Central web client logical view. You will see the third-party integrated resource. All the third-party resource will be listed here. You can see, you can also add it to map. You can add the zone or output to map. So some of them already been added. I can show you on the control client. So on control client, you can do actually like three major things. One is you can view this resource on map. If it is located on map, you can view it just like Nathan showed in the presentation. So you can see the location on map and also trigger like this one, trigger the resource manually, set, or let's trigger output. enable output or disable output. So if it's the for different resource, it will have different operation sets, and that is kind of on map in monitoring. Well, the other thing is in alarm center. If the most important thing is you want to receive alarm from the Galaxy panel. So this is the 24 gallery alarm. When this alarm is triggered, you can relate a camera with because that's what we configured just now on the Optimus portal, right? So that is the real-time alarm. Of course, you can in the pop-up enable the pop-up. It can pop up a dialog for you acknowledge of the alarm. That's the real-time alarm. And the other is to search the history alarm, also elaborated just now. That's the history alarm. Right. Of the alarm, and of course you can export the alarm details. And the third major feature is the house monitoring. So in house monitoring, you can check the overall system running status, including Hikvision device, cameras, encoding device, and of course the third-party resource. You can see here, none of them are offline, but there are totally 14 resource. So you can click if there is anything abnormal, you will see the red color here, just like the device, for example, offline. You can see it, but here we don't have offline. We can click total to check the overall. So that is all the resources are synchronized to HikCentral at the moment. And of course, you can manually control the status here. You can also control the output, enable, disable. So that is kind of features in health monitoring for real-time status check and also details inspection. And I believe that is quite simple, right? Quite easy to understand for Galaxy integration. That's all from the live demo, Nathan.
Yeah, that's great, Young. Thank you for that. That was great for the demo there. I'll switch back over to my screen. So with the Optimus solution and the Galaxy connector, which is currently available now from ourselves, it is a powerful solution, and it does allow you to integrate those third-party systems, allowing you to fully centrally manage the system using HikCentral, which makes it a lot easier, especially on large sites where they do have multiple alarm systems such as Galaxy panels added to the site. And you can have that fully centrally controlled in your control room using HikCentral and the Optimus middleware solution for that. So I've just got a couple of things to cover, and then we can move on to the Q&A and just tie a few bits up at the end for those. So at Dynamic CCTV, and we do have full dedicated project team that's available to our customers, which specifically deals with all of our HikCentral systems, any queries, any technical issues, all run through our project team. So if you have any questions on the HikCentral software, the Optimus solutions, or you just want a bit of help with a project, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we'll be able to help you out with any queries or issues that you may have from that. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section, and myself and Young will be able to answer those. Or you can send over an email address. My contact details are on screen there. Now, thank Young for joining me today and making himself available to do the demo for our customers. When the webinar finishes, if you could fill in the feedback form that will display on the screen, I'd be very grateful for any feedback that you could give us regarding the webinar. But thank you for joining me today, and also Young as well, who's been great at doing the demo.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, everyone.
No worries. Thank you, Young, and we look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thank you.
Cheers.